Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633 and we're taking a look at a brand new Rogue One 3 3/4 inch 5-point articulation figure review. This we're going to take a look at Sabine Wren based on the character in Star Wars Rebels. Now this line is actually a lot better personally than I've seen with The Force Awakens, since Force Awakens was a lot more complicated since more of the figures were released in several different assortments such as the forest, the snow, and various other assortments, but it's all been removed and having single assortments per wave, and that's a lot better and easier to collect in my opinion than what we've seen previously with The Force Awakens. Now Sabine is a welcome repack, since the original Sabine was extremely hard to find. I was never able to find the original release of Sabine, but with this release I'm happy to finally own this figure to add to my Rebels collection. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the box. The box is a typical 5-point articulation scale. Here we have a picture of Sabine. The back, normally it shows you more of what the toy does and so on. This time it's literally just all the same thing in pretty much all the boxes. A small bio on the top, and pretty much how it works with the app. So yeah, there isn't a whole lot to get there. Unlike what we've seen with The Force Awakens, it does not create a build-a-weapon piece. This time, they went under expanded universe weapons, so basically it just comes with just a random weapon that can be used toy line-wise. It may be relevant to the character, but most likely not the case. We'll now take a look at Sabine more closely. Sabine is actually kind of a strange figure. She has the most dynamic pose out of all the Rebels figures I've seen, and because of that, without a stand, she has a hard time just keeping up on the weight. You have to pose her in a funny position because it's already built in a dynamic pose in order to get her stand, and I think that's kind of unfortunate. She also suffers from problems with her helmet being way too large, and that's just typical when it comes to removable helmets, and I think it's a lot better when they have removable heads and interchangeable heads rather than helmets. But underneath, we'll see a closer look at Sabine, who is actually in her Season 2 design. And that could be said because of the color on her hair. That's more prevalent in Season 2. Anyways, articulation-wise, her head is on a ball joint, can look up and down slightly and left and right ever so slightly. We got swivels at the shoulders, but her head does get in the way, so you can't rotate it full 360. And the other arm, unfortunately, is stuck in a somewhat relaxed pose, meaning that it also has some problems with articulation, and then she does have swivel legs. Luckily, the holsters do not hinder that articulation. Speaking of holsters, each holster holds on to one of her signature blasters, and surprisingly enough, once again, Hasbro has done much better with the QC, and for what I can tell, the weapons can be held in the figure's hands much better than what I've seen with the Force Awakens toys. So, while it can possibly fall out if you bump it around too much, it seems like they're actually going to stay pretty well put in the holsters and in her hands. So, we're going to put back the helmet, and we're actually going to take a comparison with the other Rebel casts so far. I have not been able to get Hera's A-Wing, so currently that is the only main Rebels character that at least has been released so far that I haven't gotten. They have not made a Commander Sato yet, and I wish that they actually released that soon, since it would be nice to actually get a hold of them together. Anyways, I'll be back and we're going to see a comparison with the entire team together. And now we got Sabine next to the rest of the Rebel cast sans Hera. Once we finally get Hera, I'll finally have the entire team together, and I think they look really nice in display when next to each other. Unfortunately, Ezra does still suffer from some balancing issues, so I did need to put her in the stand along with Sabine, but she does pretty well in the display, and I think she's decently enough scale with the rest of the figures. Now we're going to take a look at the last feature of the toy. And now we're going to look at the last feature of the toy. The toy comes with this zipline kind of weapon, so basically for what I can tell, this is something that she can carry on her hand, and she uses it as some kind of a zipline weapon, as pretty much what it is. We're just going to take the pistols out of her hands so that they won't fly out when I move the figure around. So let's see, we're going to now quickly now attach the zip line to your hand, which is held on by a handle that's built inside. So now you can slide the weapon into her hand, which could be a little bit tricky due to these small hands. It's probably better off in the other hand since it's in a more relaxed pose. Let's see if we can try to get it in there. Okay, there we go. And you're supposed to hook it onto the side like this. And from what I can tell, basically what it is that you, I guess, swing it around and all that, and you can hook onto something. It's not a really good string. I guess it's better when you actually extend it like this, but just hooking on like normal, I don't know. This gimmick's kind of lame, and it just doesn't really work, in my opinion. It's not the best gimmick made. But other than that, I still think the Sabine figure is a really nice figure, especially for those who missed out the first time. I think this is a fantastic release, and finally able to get Sabine now out in stores in a much better distribution. Unless you are not able to find it due to the fact that she is still one per box. So that is the unfortunate part of the release. But other than that, it's still really nice, and I highly recommend picking up Sabine if you're a fan of the character or Star Wars Rebels in general. Anyways, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hero Club. Also, please check me on Twitter under Darkon633, and please check the other channels down below. I'll be back with more reviews of the products that I did get at this year's Force Friday, but for now, I'll be seeing you too. Bye.